Hi guys, it's Meeks again. Welcome back to my channel. I got a good video for you today. I'm going to be talking about the real full costs involved in buying a property. There are a number of fees to consider when buying a property. So I'm going to take you through all the costs that I personally incurred, as well as other charges that may come up, even if I didn't have to pay these this time myself. Trust me, being aware of these costs will save you some headache. You don't want to not have enough saved and not be able to go through with your purchasing plans or any sort of delay regarding costs or charges. People only tend to think you need to just save a deposit, maybe put aside a couple of hundred for a solicitor, and that's it. Not the case. I myself, going through that process, I had a few surprise fees. So this video will help you work out all of your costs when working out your budget. Okay, firstly, deposits. Okay, so you've found a home to buy, or you have been looking around at purchase prices within your affordability range. Now, the first thing you'll need to then save is your deposit. This is the amount that you put towards the cost of the property. This is also the biggest chunk of cash that you will need to factor into your budget. Most mortgage lenders these days take a minimum of 5% of the property purchase price. This can be on both standard mortgages and government schemes such as Help to Buy, although sometimes it can be a minimum of 10%. For example, if your property was £200,000, a 5% deposit would be £10,000 and a 10% deposit would be £20,000. Next cost, reservation fee. I had to pay this to my developer to securely secure my house. If you're buying a new build property off plan, you will need to pay this to secure your plot. Even if building hasn't started yet, you reserve your land to build with this fee. Mine was new build, but it wasn't off plan. My house was already built, it was standing, I could walk in and view it, etc. So I paid £500 to ensure the house was completely taken off the market and given a date in which I had to finalize a mortgage, as well as legally exchange contracts before the reservation expired. They usually give you about 4 to 6 weeks to get this done. Reservation fees, they can also be required by estate agents towards older homes, and they can range between £500 to £1,000. Sometimes they're refundable, sometimes they're not. It can depend on a case-to-case basis. If the exchange of contracts does go through, then the reservation fee will be deducted from the purchase price of the property. A next potential cost is a broker. Okay, this is by no means essential, but for me personally, this was my first time buying a home by myself, and I had little to no clue of what the mortgage application would be like, how challenging it would be. So I had a mortgage broker. Let me tell you, I was nervous as I just wanted all of the help that I could possibly get. And brokers, they make it easier, or they're supposed to, find and complete a mortgage. They're supposed to make the application process easier by comparing the markets of a mortgage, find the best deal, calculate your affordability to find a cost-effective mortgage to suit you, find the best products to suit your needs, help manage and fill out your paperwork, negotiate the mortgage terms and conditions, and generally oversee your application and ensure that deadlines are met. Some do charge a fee and will ask for upfront payment before doing any searches for you, and this can range between £300 to £600 average fixed rate. Some charge an hourly fee and they're paid in full on completion of the property. And if you're lucky, you may find one that earns their income from commission paid to them by the mortgage lender. This brings me on to the mortgage fee. When you are applying for your mortgage and at interview stage, you will be made aware of the costs of the mortgage arrangement fee. For me, This was an unexpected shocker. This is something I was not expecting. My broker did not advise me of this beforehand, may I say. He was actually a complete rip-off, but that is a story for another video. The arrangement fee is a charge that the buyer has to pay the lender for arranging the funds for the mortgage. These fees can range up to £2,000 depending on the lender. Mine was £890. I would advise to pay it up front and in full like I did. Otherwise, if you decide to add it to your mortgage payments, you will incur interest on that fee. It will bump up your overall mortgage payments and you will be paying that off forevermore. You may also have to pay for valuation fees. Now what they are, the lender will carry out a property valuation to check that the home is worth roughly what you're paying for it. To check that you're not being overcharged and whatever your seller is proposing to you as a price, that's what the home is worth. I didn't have to pay this. Thankfully, my lender covered mine. But this can range between £200 and £700. You have to think about legal conveyancing fees. Sadly, these are unavoidable. You will need a qualified solicitor to carry out all of the legal work in the purchasing process. Their responsibilities usually include drawing up contracts, dealing with land registry, sorting out the payment of stamp duty, and transferring the payment for your property. Legal fees are typically between £800 to £2,000, and that's inclusive of VAT at 20%. They will also do legal searches, which will cost you around £250 to £300, and those searches are to check whether there are any local plans or problems. My fees, including searches, I've got my paperwork here, came up to £1,800. I also had to pay a £300 deposit up front, and the remaining was paid to my solicitor upon completion. It's probably also wise to consider budgeting for house survey costs. Before you buy your place, it's a good idea to have a surveyor come around and check it out to protect yourself buying a property with defects. Nobody wants that. Surveys, they can range from a basic home conditioning survey costing around £250 to a full structural survey, which can cost starting from around £600 or more. I do think though that paying for a good survey could save you money on repairs in the long run, especially if you are buying an older property and you're not buying a new build. For a new build property, it is advised to have a professional snagging survey done, and this should cover everything from minor issues like, say, a door not closing properly to serious structural problems. We've all seen those new build disasters. Whew, boy. Even though I personally decided not to have one of these done, as I said before, I didn't buy it off plan. My house was already standing, it was already built, could already walk into it and see what was wrong. I just figured that for my house to actually sell, the developers, they had to get it up to a certain quality to make a buyer say, yes, I want this house. And touch wood, I've been here a year and there have been no issues. We thank Jesus. But I did have a quote for a professional snagger, and for a 3-bedroom house like mine, it came to £300. Anyone buying off plan and committing before the house is even built, before a brick is even laid, I would recommend having a snagging survey carried out, because you can't change your mind. Once you have exchanged contracts, even if the house isn't finished, yeah, you can't change your mind. So I would get that snagger. Consider budgeting for insurance. Buildings insurance is compulsory if you have a mortgage and you are buying a house. Not sure about flats, but I know with the house it's definitely compulsory. and it's usually one of the conditions on your mortgage agreement. This insurance covers the costs of rebuilding or repairing your home, say it gets damaged. You will be responsible and legally binded to that property from the exchange of contracts. So you need to have this insurance in place before you even complete the sale and get your keys. Again, if you are buying a leasehold flat, you may not need building insurance, as that should be the responsibility of the freeholder. My insurance cost me £144 for the year, but I included contents insurance to my policies. That may be why it's a bit higher. The actual figure varies depending on your property size, your needs, your location, risk factors and circumstances. Ooh. Okay, so the costs that I've just gone through with you, those are the costs minus deposits that are paid either fully before completion or paid partly before completion. Now I'm going to go through the costs that you have to pay in full before you even get your keys. Okay, I'm going to start with stamp duty. That's the property transaction tax. At the moment in the UK, due to the pandemic, if you are buying a residential property between, I think it's July 8th, 2020 it started, and it finishes on March 31st, 2021, you will only pay stamp duty if your property is above £500,000 and it's not a second home. And this applies to anyone, not just first-time buyers, so that is amazing. As it stood previously, and will probably go back to after that date, first-time buyers paid no stamp duty for the first £300,000 on properties worth up to £500,000. So as long as you are a first-time buyer and your property is worth less than £300, you are completely exempt from stamp duty. Mine was above this threshold, but I cut a deal with my developer and they paid mine for me as part of an incentive. I haggled and I got my stamp duty paid. So I was very happy with that. And if your property is worth over £500,000, even as a first-time buyer, you get no discount on stamp duty. You are paying the full stamp duty rate. And the fee is paid to your solicitor. The rate of stamp duty you pay depends on what price threshold your property falls into and also where it's located. The figures that I just quoted, they're for England and Northern Ireland, but I do know that those rates differ in other parts of the UK. You can actually go online and check how much you'll have to pay using the stamp duty calculator. It's really simple. Just type it into the search box, stamp duty calculator, and it's there. Very, very simple. Another charge that you may have to consider is maintenance fees. If you live in a flat and have a leasehold agreement, or in a private new build development and own a freehold house, there's usually a type of service maintenance charge for things like cutting the grass, keeping the playgrounds tidy and maintained, etc. Mine as a freeholder is £200 a year. If you own a leasehold property, you will have to pay a service charge for the upkeep of the general maintenance and repairs of the actual building. So that's things like lifts, lighting, etc. You may also have to pay a ground rent to the freeholder, and that's to occupy the actual land that your property is built on. And although this is an annual charge, I had to pay this to my solicitor before I could even get my keys. So bear that in mind. And okay, once you have paid all of these charges that I mentioned in full, you can finally have the keys to your home. Woo! And that's where we celebrate. But other things that you may want to consider putting into your budget just to make life easier for you. Removal costs. Okay, so depending on how much furniture you're moving with, you may want to consider hiring a removal company, which can range between, I think, £200 and £500 depending on the company. It's best to shop around for the best quotes, or hire a van and move it yourself. Again, shop around for the best quotes. Luckily for me, I didn't actually come with a lot of furniture. I just loaded stuff into cars and made a couple of trips back and forth as I started buying my main furniture pieces after I moved in, but you may need to consider this. Also, furniture, aesthetics, white goods, flooring, etc. You may need some of these essentials for your property. So what I did is I set aside a budget for all my furniture, all my decor, and any extras for my house to actually feel like a home. And I'm so happy I did, because I settled in so quickly and I made my mark on my home pretty fast. There is no guideline amount for this. This is your decision and at your own pace. Not everyone decorates or buys new things straight away, and that is absolutely fine. But at least make sure that you have put away for any basics that you may need, i.e. any white goods if they don't come with your property already, and if you don't already have those. And I think that's it, guys. I think I've covered near enough everything. If you do get this far into this video and you feel that there's something I have forgotten, please write that into the comments below, just to remind me and help others that are watching this video keep the conversation going if we have to. But I think that is all of the costs that you need to factor in when buying a new home. So thank you very much, guys. I hope you find this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it brought clarity on things. If you did, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you have not already. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope to see you on my next video. Take care.